Good morning, Fellowship Hi-Crest. We are excited to be here with you today for Jumpstart. We are in Judges chapter 3, and we're going to be in verses 12 through 30. This is the story of the judge Ehud and the Israelites. At this point, the Israelites have again done what was right in their own eyes and abandoned God, and were living life by their own choices. God let them experience the consequences of that, and they have been living under Moabite rule for 18 years. They call out to God and they say, God, we are repenting and we're returning to you. Please rescue us and establish us again. And God is faithful. Every time the Israelites, do things on their own, do things in their own eyes, in their own way, he lets them experience the consequences, the judgment. And when they return to him, he's faithful every time to rescue them. If you haven't read the story of Ehud, you definitely should. It's a crazy tale of a left-handed warrior that assassinates a king. And so I'll let you read that today. But at the end of the story, it says this, starting in verse 26. It says, while the servants were waiting, Ehud escaped, passing the stone idols on his way to Serah. When he arrived in the hill country of Ephraim, Ehud sounded a call to arms. Then he led a band of Israelites down the hills. Follow me, he said, for the Lord has given you victory over Moab, your enemy. So they followed him, and the Israelites took control of the shallow crossings of the Jordan River across from Moab, preventing anyone from crossing. They attacked the Moabites and killed about 10,000 of their strongest and most able-bodied warriors. Not one of them escaped. So Moab was conquered by Israel that day, and there was peace in the land for 80 years. A couple of things stuck out to me in this, and the first one is they're kind of repeating this Jordan River crossing. When the Israelites first took the land under Joshua and they were going to Jericho, they had to cross the Jordan River to start taking the land. And so we see the Israelites back at this Jordan River establishing, and God is establishing them again over the Moabites and giving them victory again. And so it's kind of this place of remember, this is where it started. This is where you started establishing your rule, where God started establishing the rule for the Israelites. And I see a couple of things. Ehud could have assassinated the king at any point, and not a lot would have changed if he would have just assassinated the king. The Israelites would have still been under Moabite rule or somebody else's rule. But it took him going back to his people and saying, this is what God has for us. God is going to give us victory today, but as a people, we have to follow him. And so there was a leader and people chose to follow them, and they chose to follow God's rule and direction. So we can't do this life on our own. We can't do this Christian life on our own. God doesn't call us to a singular ministry that just depends on us. He calls us as a group of people to follow him and do the work together. And then in this story, we see that the Israelites experience the longest period of peace in their land under this judge, under God's rule, when they come together as a group of people following God and following God's established leader in their lives. And so I just want to encourage you today that if you're feeling lonely in your faith walk, if you're feeling lonely and it's a struggle, things are difficult for you right now, maybe look around you and say, who am I connecting with in my faith life? Who am I doing this life together with? So thanks for joining us today. Continue to power up, pour in, and spill out.